Hello guys, and what is up? It is the Sistress Penny here today, and I'm coming at you with a review for episode 15 of Log Horizon. Let's do this. Alright, so in this episode, many things happened. Many of them very interesting, other things pretty awesome, and we've got quite a lot more info on different characters. Now this episode starts out with our, I don't even know, group of 5 people. The people who go into the dungeon, the group of kids made up of Minori, Toya, Rudy, Izuzu, and Sorora. So, those names give or take the pronunciation, but there you go. And basically they're talking about going back into the dungeon, but then Minori says that they shouldn't, and they should just relax for a day. But then she kind of does that question, like re-asks it in a different way, and they're like, do you want to stay and kind of like get to know each other better so that we actually know what's going on? And then Rudy's like, we already know each other. But then she was explaining how like she doesn't know anybody's attacks, what they like and dislike, or why they use certain attacks, and stuff like that. So we hear a little bit about what certain things do. We learn about how Toya is a samurai and he can use taunt, which basically it doesn't do any damage, but it makes the enemy think that they took a lot of damage. So, like, for instance, they'll hit them with this thing, and the monster will think it just got hit, like, by a 1,000 damage spell or something, when it really didn't, and the monster will come rushing after them. And then during that window, someone like Rudy, who's a sorcerer, can go around and just kill all of them while they're focused on the samurai, who's the tank. So, once they learn strategies like this, then we can kind of understand the show a little bit better, as well as the people in the show getting quite a bit better, and they actually were able to go into the dungeon, work very efficiently. We saw some new spells from Rudy. I thought he only had like a couple or something. He has the Orb Lava thing, which is awesome, and then he has this one new freezing one that he used after he hit them all with Orb of Lava. He like froze them all, and he has this other spell that apparently is good by itself. Like, if you use Orb of Lava, I'm guessing it's more like an area of effect spell, is what you would call it in an MMO, like, attacks a lot of things. So it's good if you've got, like, a bunch of targets, but it's not as good if you only have one target. So he used a different one, it's called, like, Lightning Chain or something, I believe, and it just kind of, like, did a lot of damage to a single target, which is pretty awesome. We saw some other stuff, there was some talking, and honestly this episode mostly focused on that group in the dungeon and them kind of telling them about each other and whatnot. Minori did call Shiro. Shiro was working on his scribe skills so that he could create better documents, which I'm guessing maybe has something to do with, maybe he's trying to figure out more about the game, and they're not even it's barely even a game anymore, it seems like. It just seems like this is actually like a new reality for them, and they need to like adapt to it. So they need to know more about the world, and maybe that's why he's getting his scribe up. I'm not really sure exactly. But he gets called from Minori, and they talk a little bit. It's not really anything important. But, anyway, and then apparently Izuzu thinks that Rudy looks like a golden retriever. I don't know. I really don't see the resemblance, but, you know, whatever. It's alright. Dogs can be people, too. And, basically, or people can be dogs, too. Which one would I use there? Anyway, so, in this episode, that's kind of like what started out the episode. It wasn't exactly like the most important thing, but you did learn a little bit about the show, as well as seeing some awesome action scenes. I always like seeing the action scenes in this, because it seems like a really team-based MMO. Like, it's really team-based. You know, it seems like you just can't go running in and just kill people, and that's not something I really saw in Sword Art Online. I mean, you had the switching thing, but I mean, Kirito could just go and solo anything. I mean, you saw a little bit in Alfheim Online at the end, but in this, Log Horizon, you need to use strategy, you need to know what your teammates can do, and you cannot solo, it seems like. It just isn't possible. Also, since it's not a game anymore, you know, playing in this world is a lot different than if it was a game. Because if it was a game, it would still be pretty easy. Shiro did say that in this episode, that after they completed, they got really far into the dungeon, and he said, well, that's really good, because back when it was a game, that wouldn't really be a big, you know, something really big to do. It's just like, well, whatever. But now, since it's not a game, and combat is a little bit different, we kind of learned about that in the first episode, how combat is different from when it was a game. and they still completed it, so they worked very well as a team. Now, the two interesting things that happened at the end, uh, these two things are something that's going to make you think about stuff, and I'm going to make some predictions here about what might have happened, and I'm going to talk about both of them, and then I'm going to dissect both of them, hopefully, for some information. So, first thing that happened, Izusu tried to add Rudy to her friends list, and it didn't work. It was giving like this circle with X, or not an X through it, like the anti-whatever, like the anti-whatever symbol, like if it says like anti-smoking, it's like a cigarette, and it's like, this got like that, the circle with the cross in it. I don't know what it's called, but it's got that thing on it, and it's not letting her add him to her friends list. So that could mean a couple of things. I'm going to get back to that in a minute. And the second thing was these little fish monster things are like attacking everybody at the beach. Now, the one guy, I don't even remember his name, I'm not good with names, blue hair, he's the combat leader for the Crescent Moon Alliance. I got that right. And the fish things are like from level like 20 to 30, but there's so many of them. And being a person who plays quite a bit of video games myself, I know what that could actually mean. I mean, it doesn't matter if something's level 20 and 30, if there's 100 of them, and it's gonna create a problem. So I'm not really sure where that's going. That'll be interesting to see next episode. But that's pretty much all you have there. I mean, that's not really gonna be like any prediction. It's just gonna be next episode they're gonna fight them most likely. I don't know if they're gonna get reinforcements or something like that. But the more important thing was, why couldn't Izusu add Rudy to her friends list? Now, you could go and say the obvious, just be like, well, maybe she has a full friends list. I don't think she does, though. There was never said that there was a friends limit in the game, so I don't know. Maybe Rudy has his thing set to private so that people can add him as friends. Maybe his friends list is full. I'm not sure, but if we get into more nitty-gritty stuff here, if we get into more in-depth, possibly, this is something that I thought whenever she couldn't add him, is it possible that Rudy is a person of the land? In essence, he would be an NPC. Is it possible? I think it could be, because think about his name that he has. His actual name is like Rundle something or other, and they call him Rudy. But they also mentioned that he seemed like a prince, and I kind of agree with that. He seems like some sort of royalty almost, like the way he talks and stuff. If you know what I mean, then feel free to comment down below. But you see what I'm talking about? Like he kind of has like this way he talks, the way he looks. He's a sorcerer, which just makes him seem like he's maybe like a higher up kind of guy. I don't know. It just all these things kind of fit together in my mind, and as far as being not able to add them to your friends list, it would make sense that you can't add a person to the land to your friends list. That would be the most logical explanation. Another explanation could be that he's not even who he says he is. Maybe it's some other guy that can transform into people. Maybe that's a skill that we have not seen yet. Maybe you can transform into a low level, a different person. But at that point, it makes you wonder, like, what end was that guy trying to achieve? I mean, if he wanted to kill them all, he could have done that easily by now. So I don't think it's some guy transforming. Maybe Rudy is actually evil. Maybe he's on the bad side. I don't know. I still think he might be a person of the land. It's still a possibility. It's all up in the air. So tell me what you think in the comment section down below. Do you think he's a person of the land? Do you think it's just maybe a glitch in the game? Maybe it's just a glitch. Maybe it's just not working for some reason. Maybe they've just got to restart the game. Control-Alt-Delete. Maybe, it's just something simple like a full friends list, or what do you think it is? So with that, I'm going to bid you all farewell, and I will see you guys next week.